Hi guys, welcome back to Squad Review Episode 3. As always, the response I've been getting for this series has been amazing. We've got a lot of submissions to get through, so this might be a quick fire episode. So let's do this. First up, we have rocking a narrow 4-4-2 formation. If you want to hear my opinion, then of course, personally, I'll tell you to use wingers rather than two AMFs. The two AMFs you have here, they won't occupy the wide space enough, which you'll be forced to attack down the middle a lot of the times. You can watch my video here where I break down a similar formation with two narrow attacking midfielders, and you'll see why I personally won't recommend this. But apart from that, you have very good players, so I have nothing to say about the player selection here. Apart from there might be one potential weakness to your lineup, which is your centre backs. With the current state of the game, I would recommend always having a very tall centre back in your squad. Even though this Puyol here is amazing and you could put all the aerial training points into him, but he still wouldn't be jumping high enough to deal with real aerial threats. Next up, we have Bruno Limongi, and he says this is inspired by Man City's treble winning tactics. And looking at this, all I can say is this looks very good. You've got these wingers here high up, which stretches out the side defenders and making space for the two AMFs to run into. Defensively, he has John Stones with deep line instruction, which often can act as a fourth defender. And I'm liking the player selection here, especially that Luca Hernandez. If you know, you know. I think at this point this is like a collector's item now. And Bruno clearly likes to live live on the edge with Neuer in goal. You've got Tchouaméni and Rice here to replace John Stones if you need. If I really were to pick on something, I would personally swap Fiat and Pedri around. And again, just to have a really tall centre-back to deal with aerial threats. But perhaps you have one already and I just can't see it here. But overall, this is really good. Next up, we have Compound V, and he has definitely got the boys in his squad. All jokes aside, this is how you would use a 4-1-3-2 formation, with the left and right midfielders stretching out the field. Defensively, I mean, you can't really get much better than this, though personally I would not opt for two defensive fullbacks. The three attacking midfielders, if you like, are not often seen, but this is a welcome inclusion. I would love to see more technical players like Xavi here being used. You've got Hullit here, who's an all-round great, and you've got Mbappe the speedster, but perhaps you might want to try using Mbappe on the wing to utilize that blitz curler. Overall, very good squad. Next, we have Frodiola, and no, that name is not a joke, it's actually real. But looking at this squad, something seems weird, something is missing. It's missing a centre forward, and I actually really like this, because this is actually quite similar to how Real Madrid played the year before Mbappe joined. They had Vinicius and Rodrigo, who on paper might look like two centre forwards, but in game they often drift out wide, which allowed space for Jude Bellingham to run into. And I'm guessing that's the tactic that Frodiola is trying to replicate here. Very solid choice of players here. There's some real gems of free-to-play players here. And of course, I personally like the use of double attacking fullbacks here. Next, we have Hamzadinho, and he has actually joined me in my last stream and we played some 3-4 co-op, which was really fun. But yeah, he's rocking a 3-2-4-1 formation, which is quite similar to Bruno's formation, but only with the wingers a little bit more reserved. The slight advantage of this is, of course, the left midfielder and the right midfielder will contribute to defense more than right wingers and left wingers. But overall, very solid choice of players here. The only small changes I would make is I would perhaps look for a more defensive capable midfielder than Jack Wilshere. The two defensive midfielders in these kind of formations often have to fill in for defensive roles. So yeah, I would probably use someone a little bit different. And the other small thing is, I hope you have a genuine reason to use a whole team of epics and you're not just suffering from I must use all my epics syndrome. Next, we have Kitsikatsi 2, and we have a formation that is quite similar to the first one actually, but this time with one AMF and one right midfielder. Again, personally, I wouldn't use an attacking midfielder as a substitute for a winger. Especially the Arrascaeta's whole player playstyle will still activate at left midfield. If you do want to use him at AMF, then you can move him to central, move Messi up to right wing, Mbappe to left wing, and leave Forlan as a sole CF. My bigger concern is actually your bench. You have a lot of attacking players on your bench, but in this screenshot, I don't see any replacements for the 2 DMFs, the 2 CBs, or the left back, and there's only 2 slots missing from this screenshot, so I would definitely try to balance your bench out a little bit. Next, we have NKA01, and at first I thought I was looking at a 5 at the back formation, but no, this is actually just a 3-2-4-1, which is exactly the same as Hamzadinho's formation. And again, looking at this, I personally wouldn't change that much. You've got some unique players and some really good free-to-play players. In these kind of formations, the wingers often have to travel up and down to cover attack and defense duties. So I hope you have subs for these 2 positions because Di Maria and Ferran Torres don't have good stamina. Apart from that, just the usual, make sure you have a tall CB on your bench to cover the aerial threats. Otherwise, this is looking very interesting, especially that Zamorano, which I've never seen people use before. Next, we have, and he says he's bored of meta because he finds it very limited and he's inspired by Barcelona, Spain and PSG playstyle. Well, if that's the case, then I would say you're doing a pretty good job. There's not much I would change personally actually. Perhaps a box-to-box or whole player or creative playmaker CMF instead of orchestrator, so he'll support the attack a little bit more instead of just sitting back. If you want to play like PSG in real life, then I might look for 2 fullback finishers, but only if you want to live dangerously. And as a Barca fan, I'm very jealous of that Kubasi. Next, we have Really a Duck. And again, we have a squad that looks very good and I have not much to pick on. You have players like Isak and Harvey Elliott who are just absolute gems. And I was so close to getting Darren Fletcher instead of Belletti. And players like Edison and the right back who I'm ashamed to admit that I don't know of. It's so nice to see lesser used player being used. And that's the thing, guys. This series is not about throwing all the highest rated cards together and call it a day. It's about how unique your squad is and how well it functions as a team. And this squad here definitely hit the spot. Lastly, we have Thatto, using a 4-3-3 formation with 2 attacking midfielders. First of all, looks solid overall. The centre back pairing is good. You have 1 attacking fullback and 1 defensive, which is fine. Provides a little bit of balance. Rodri is great as a single DMF. The only thing I would personally change is I would use a more true midfielder than Hazard and Griezmann here. Players like Modric, Pedri or Odegaard would be great for this role. I'm not entirely convinced that Hazard is built adequately for an AMF role. You might need someone with higher passing stats, especially in this update. But again, apart from that, all looks very good, and it's good to see that Luis Garcia being used as well. So that's it, guys. That's episode 3 of Squad Review. I don't think I've ever been this positive in a squad review episode. And ironically, this is the one that I didn't rate the squads. So let me know if you like that, or would you like me to reintroduce the squad ratings. As always, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you use the link in the description to submit your squads to me to review. Hopefully I'll see your squad in the next one.